of similarities between Harvest Hosts and Hipcamp, but there's also some very major differences. Today I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison to help you decide which one's right for you. Hi Weekend Warrior family, or if you're new here, I'm Randy, and every Thursday I share tips to help us make every moment count, because weekends are just too short. Both Hipcamp and Harvest Hosts are fantastic tools to help us find unique places to camp and create memories. And as campgrounds are filling up faster than ever, having resources that offer alternative places to camp is essential, and both Hipcamp and Harvest Hosts do just that. I've previously done in-depth videos on both Harvest Hosts and Hipcamp, and on the Hipcamp video, Suzanne left this comment. She says, "I never heard of Hipcamp. It appears to be a free app. Curious how this compares to Harvest Hosts." Thanks for the great video topic idea, Suzanne. Understanding the differences between Harvest Hosts and Hipcamp is the only way to determine which one's going to be right for you. And stay till the end because I share my thoughts on both. One of the biggest differences between Harvest Hosts and Hipcamp is the type of camping that's allowed. Harvest Host only allows RVs, so if you're a tent camper, Harvest Host is not for you. Tents, campers, minivans, sleeping in cars and trucks is prohibited at Harvest Host. All RV classes are allowed, everything from motorhomes to small travel trailers. And approximately 80% of all the hosts can accept vehicles of any length, so this is great news for RVers of all sizes. There are 2 RV stipulations that you must be aware of. Number 1, they must be self-contained, meaning your RV must have an interior toilet and built-in holding tanks for wastewater. And secondly, you must have interior cooking facilities. Hipcamp offers everything from RV camping to tent camping, car camping to hammock camping, or just sleeping under the stars. Oh, and some Hipcamp locations offer a place to stay, so you don't even have to be an RV or tent owner. And these places vary greatly. Anything from a teepee with beautiful wide open views to relaxing in a private Mongolian-style yurt. Both Harvest Host and Hipcamp have property pages for their thousands of locations. If you have an RV, these pages will tell you how large of an RV that location can accommodate, and the Hipcamp property pages will tell you what type of camping is allowed at each location. So, one of the biggest differences between Harvest Host and Hipcamp is the type of camping that's allowed. At Harvest Host, only self-contained RVs are allowed, and Hipcamp offers virtually all types of camping depending on the Hipcamp location. Another big difference is the type of location that each offers. I call Harvest Host and Hipcamp non-campground camping. Here's why. Harvest Host is a place to find businesses that offer a spot to park your RV. These are businesses that have available land and list their business on Harvest Host. And Joyce left this comment. Harvest Host is an awesome membership. We stayed at an alpaca farm and a museum. That's right, the type of businesses that you can stay at vary greatly. Everything from alpaca farm to a museum. Harvest Host locations normally fall into these categories: wineries and breweries, farms and ranches, attractions and museums, golf courses, and country clubs. More on golf courses and country clubs coming up. Some offer more of a place to park an RV, while others offer more of an experience. For example, learn about endangered species while staying at an animal sanctuary, tour a winery and enjoy wine tasting, or stay at the Stafford Air and Space Museum and view early aircraft and aerospace artifacts. Hipcamp is a place to find private landowners that offer places to camp on their land. Cammie Hall made this comment. "I used Hipcamp for a beautiful spot in Pennsylvania by a river on a Christmas tree farm." Like Harvest Host, the places to camp at Hipcamp are vast. Seriously. Hipcamp offers authentic Western ranches, mountain view retreats with hot tubs, and everything from primitive forest camping to oceanside camping on the longest beach in America. Everything RV by Pat made this insightful comment, and he says, "If you have a piece of property, you could offer your site up on their service." And this is an excellent point, Pat. If you are a business owner or landowner with space for RVs or a space for camping, Harvest Host and Hipcamp are a great way to earn extra money. If this is of any interest to you, I'm both a Harvest Host and a Hipcamp affiliate. And if you join either one as a business owner or a landowner and use use my link below, you can get $100 cash back. I'll leave all that information in the video description below. Both Harvest Host and Hipcamp offer unique places to camp. But with Harvest Host, you'll be staying at a business location, and when using Hipcamp, you'll be staying on someone else's property. Once you hear all of the differences between these two non-campground camping resources, I want to know, are you Team Harvest Host or are you Team Hipcamp? Let me know by typing Hipcamp or Harvest Host in the video comment section below. Do we have more Harvest Host or do we have more Hipcamp fans here? The next big thing between Harvest Host and Hipcamp is cost. Here are the differences. Harvest Host is known as free RV parking, but I call it almost free RV parking. Here's why. Yes, it's true. You can book a Harvest Host location with a business for free. However, to access these businesses and book a spot, you pay an annual Harvest Host membership fee. The current annual membership fee is $79. This membership includes unlimited overnight RV parking at any Harvest Host location, except for their golf course and country club locations. For you golfers, Harvest Host offers a golf membership that includes all locations, plus their golf courses and country clubs. This upgraded annual Harvest Host membership is currently $119. That's pretty awesome if you're a golfer. So what is the incentive for business to allow you to stay on their property for free? They hope you enjoy your stay, and to show your appreciation, support their business by making a purchase. For example, if you stayed at the Be Happy Farm, you might purchase some grass-fed beef or free-range chicken eggs. Or if you stayed at the Fruitland Valley Vineyard and Winery, you might purchase a pizza or a bottle of wine. While not required, it is highly suggested, and I recommend you show your appreciation to any of the businesses you would stay at with a purchase. A Harvest Host membership allows you to support a local business, and I love this. As I mentioned, I am a Harvest Host affiliate, and this means that you can save 15% if you use my link to join. I'll leave this link and all details in the video description below. Hipcamp is similar to a campground because you pay per night, and the cost is going to vary depending on location and amenities. These are the average camping costs per night based on Hipcamp's website. Tent sites, $10 to $30 per night, RV sites, $20 to $40 per night, and structures such as cabins, glamping tents, yurts, tree houses, etc., $75 plus per night. As a Hipcamp affiliate, I can save you $10 on your first Hipcamp camping trip. All information will be in the video description below. With Harvest Host, you pay an annual membership fee for unlimited access to their business locations. You should also budget in spending money while staying there to support that business. With Hipcamp, similar to a campground, you pay per stay, and this cost will vary depending on location. We're just getting started because there are more major differences between Harvest Host and Hipcamp that you need to know about. But first, I want to ask, have you experienced how difficult it's been to make camping reservations lately? Campgrounds are booked. That's why I love Harvest Host and Hipcamp, because they provide us alternative places to camp. But we still need to make campground reservations. So I want to share my campground reservation strategy to help you make campground reservations despite the record number of campers. I'll leave a link to a video that explains everything in the video description below. We're just getting started because there are more major differences that you need to know about. And the next one is the length of time that you can stay at each. You can only stay at a Harvest Host for 24 hours. And that's what Harvest Host is known for, free overnight RV camping. You know, when traveling to your destination is longer than you want your travel day to be, and you need a place to spend the night, Harvest Host is great for this scenario. They also offer a free trip planning tool that makes it easy to find Harvest Host locations along your route. But I think Harvest Host is also great for overnight RV camping adventures. Spending a night at a winery or museum would certainly be a way to mix things up. Or better yet, find two Harvest Host locations that are in close proximity to each other and spend a night at each for a truly one-of-a-kind weekend warrior excursion. Well, I couldn't find a Hipcamp maximum length of time that you can stay. I did find a couple of Hipcamp locations that had a minimum stay requirement of 2 days, which I think is probably rare. On the Hipcamp website or by using their app, enter your desired location and the dates to find available locations that can accommodate your time frame. You can stay at a Harvest Host location for 24 hours, and the length of time you can stay at a Hipcamp location varies. Another difference between Harvest Hosts and Hipcamp is amenities and hookups. The hosts are, first and foremost, wineries, farms, museums, and don't provide the services that you would typically find at a campground. However, a small number of the hosts do offer electricity or water. This will be listed on the host information page, and there might be a charge. Hipcamp amenities and hookups will vary between locations. Each location page will have a complete list of amenities for that location. If Wi-Fi is important, you may be in luck. Because most businesses do have Wi-Fi, the chances are good Wi-Fi will be available for you to use when staying at a Harvest Host location. And the same for Hipcamp. Because they are landowners, they might have Wi-Fi available for you to use as well. To find out if a Harvest Host or a Hipcamp location does have Wi-Fi, just look in the amenities section on each location page. While it is unlikely to find hookups and amenities at Harvest Host locations, you may find some of these services available at different Hipcamp locations. Even making a reservation between Harvest Host and Hipcamp is different. To make a Harvest Host reservation, you must call the business owner to find out if they have a spot available. You must also arrive during business hours, which are posted on each location page unless the host says otherwise. Some Hipcamp hosts offer instant booking, and this means that you can go online and make a reservation without the owner's pre-approval. If the host does accept instant bookings, you'll see an instant book on the host page where you can instantly make your reservations. If it is not an instant book host, then you'll see a request to book on the host page. Here you enter your information and the owner will respond to your request. To make a reservation with Harvest Host, you call the business and make arrangements. To make a reservation at a Hipcamp location, you can do this online. The ability to plan ahead is also different between Harvest Host and Hipcamp. Harvest Host recommends calling the host and asking if you can set a date to visit no more than 2 weeks in advance. Because the hosts are not campgrounds, they don't have reservation systems, so making a reservation months in advance isn't likely. On the other hand, a Hipcamp reservation could be made months in advance, and probably the earlier the better, especially for popular camping spots. You can book a Harvest Host location 2 weeks in advance, while at Hipcamp you can make a reservation months in advance. Finally, one similarity between Harvest Host and Hipcamp, and that is, for the most part, they are pet friendly. Each Harvest Host location page will let you know if pets are allowed. And to learn if a Hipcamp location is pet friendly, just go to the Essentials section on the location page. Most Harvest Host and Hipcamp locations are pet friendly. Just be sure to check each location page to verify. Another similarity is reviews. Reviews can provide valuable information and help you determine if a location is right for you. Each Harvest Host location page has reviews written by people who have stayed at that location. Hipcamp users also leave reviews. Reviews have changed the way we shop and can definitely influence our buying decisions. This also holds true for finding a place to camp. Both Harvest Host and Hipcamp provide user reviews. And both Harvest Host and Hipcamp have iOS and Android apps. The Harvest Host app allows you to search for locations and get host contact information. The app also includes a trip planning tool to find host locations along your route. The Hipcamp app is also very easy to use and will help you locate places to camp and make online reservations. Both Harvest Host and Hipcamp offer iOS and Android apps to help us find camping places and overnight parking. Yes, there are major differences between Harvest Host and Hipcamp, but I think there are major similarities and benefits between the two as well. We can experience unique places that we would not have otherwise had access to. We can camp nearby national parks to avoid the crowds. We can find last-minute places to camp when campgrounds are full. We can find places that accommodate large groups, and we can mix things up with non-campground camping. I'm so glad to have both Harvest Host and Hipcamp as non-campground camping resources because the more resources, the better for us. My favorite app to find Campgrounds is the All Stays app. Have you heard of it? It's been my #1 go-to resource to find all different kinds of campgrounds, including state parks, county and city campgrounds, as well as Corps of Engineer and private campgrounds, and much more. I'll leave a link to a video that I did that shows how intuitive and easy it is to use right up here and in the video description below. So be sure to watch that next. Well, that's it for this episode, and I can't wait to see you next Thursday.